Internet, and welcome to another episode of Coy Cubed, this time for the week of August 19th, 2020. We approach September, which means we approach the fall, which means we approach the end of 2020, which is just insane. What is this year? What is time? What is anything? This week's episode, we're going to talk about the insanity of Olivia Wilde, which is Olivia Munn and Olivia Wilde combined. Olivia One. A mighty power. Olivia Wilde directing a Spider-Woman movie, potentially. Definitely doing a Marvel movie, an untitled Marvel movie, but she shared a tweet with a little spider icon. So we're going to talk about the potential there. We're going to talk about all sorts of DC Fandome news. We're going to talk about some DC Comics news. Jim Lee had a long interview and clarified some stuff about the publishing side of DC. I've also recently this week watched both Project Power and I watched Capone, one of my most anticipated movies of the year, 2020. So if you guys are patrons, you might have already gotten my brief reviews over on my Patron-only podcast that dropped this morning that has all of my reviews for the week. Every week I do a podcast where I review each and every bit of media I consume that week. But being that those are both new 2020 movies, I want to review them here as well at a little bit more length. So if you guys aren't patrons, check that out. It's every bit of content I review. So it's movies, it's TV shows, it's books. There's a giant review Patreon-only podcast over there. But for here, I do want to talk about new releases. Once the world starts spinning again, once the world is going again, I want to have this outlet to talk about new release movies on Friday, etc., etc. So this is where I want to have like Tenet review and New Mutants review and all those things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it gets to be safe soon. What up, Michael McCarcel in the chat? He just finished the Patron-only podcast, so he knows all about my thoughts on those things. But let's kick it off with the news itself. Olivia Wilde is set to potentially... She signed the paperwork. The only thing that could go wrong is the world doesn't allow for filming again. So it looks like it's locked. It looks like it's loaded. Olivia Wilde is directing a Marvel movie. Now, this is exciting news for a myriad of reasons. One, we need more women directing movies. Two, she directed the hell out of Booksmart. And three, this is a great opportunity for Marvel, and in this case, Sony Marvel, it looks like, to really diversify their directing medley, like who they've got directing. It looks like they're really loading up with great indie directors, like Marvel tends to do, but with a slightly different bent over at Sony. Now, this is really exciting because they've got some incredible directors doing things like Silver and Black, which I know is going back to the drawing board, but looks like it's still going forward in some manner of speaking. They've got S.J. Clarkson doing a Madam Web movie. Probably my least excited of the whole batch, because Madam Web, I don't know if I need that movie, but here we are. I don't know if the Jackpot movie is moving forward. That's definitely my least anticipated, because that character is only in like 3 issues of comic books. But Olivia Wilde elevates anything. Olivia Wilde elevates. She could direct a Shriek movie, and I'd be excited. She could direct a Paste Pot Pete movie, I'd be excited. She could direct a movie about the big wheel, and you got my money. Olivia Wilde directed an incredible modern version of what Superbad was for that time. It's a very Superbad in spirit movie, but it's much more progressive. It's much more worldly aware. It's a piece of this time versus that time. I love Superbad. I got a whole lot of love for Superbad. It was Superbad's 13th birthday last week. Superbad has meant a lot these last 13 years to me. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. But we're a different people 13 years later. An entirely new generation has evolved with the times, and I find that Booksmart reflects the times today much better. Generation Z impresses me a whole lot more than millennials. I'm a millennial, and I'm often embarrassed by millennials. Don't get me started on older generations, but Generation Z seems to have their shit together in a whole new way. They've been exposed to the internet from birth. They've got more political mindedness, and the movie Booksmart really reflects that. It's a very funny movie. It's a solid party movie. It shows a new generation what that world is like. It gave me a lot of respect both for Gen Z in general, but also for Olivia Wilde as a director. She immediately endears you to a very large cast. She immediately shows you a broad spectrum sense of humor, and at no point does the very, very, very strong political mindedness of the characters feel heavy-handed. I'm very impressed with all of the ways she weaved in and out of commentary in Booksmart. That is a fantastic director for I think, a Spider-Man film or Spider-Woman film, what have you, a Spider film, because we want these movies to have more than just action. We want to be endeared to the characters. We want the heart of these characters to be really, really present. You don't care about someone getting punched unless you care about the person getting punched. You also don't tend to care about the person punching unless you care about that person. So I want to be endeared to these characters right away. That way we can get to the spectacle that is superhero movies. The best superhero movies are the ones where you care about the characters. You got your Winter Soldiers, your Guardians of the Galaxy, your Dark Knights, your Wonder Womans, your Blades. These movies are about character. The action is just a benefit. So I think this is spectacular. I would love if Olivia Wilde teams up with a great second unit director for action. I've never seen her direct action. She might be great off the bat, but for me, all these movies, the character is way more important. That's why the Russo brothers took over in such a big way, because the Russo brothers understood comedy, they understood character, they understood long form. There's a reason they shepherded Phase 2 onward over at Marvel. This is that kind of opportunity with Olivia Wilde. So I'm very, very excited. I think she's an impossibly smart, capable, talented director. She's also an incredibly smart, capable, and talented actress. I'd love to see her pop up in one of these. She's someone in 2010 I really wanted for Captain Marvel, and now that we have a Captain Marvel, can you imagine if we get a not Captain Marvel, Olivia Wilde as Spider-Woman, directing Spider-Woman? I would love that. Personally, my dream for this movie, directed by Olivia Wilde, would be her to adapt the most recent, before the current, Spider-Woman run where she was a new mom. I think it's a different take. I know Olivia Wilde's a mom, and I think it's a different kind of superhero story. We've got every kind of superhero story out there. We've got, your vigilantes, we got your Deadpools, we got your Spider-Mans, we got your team books, but we haven't had a parent superhero, really. We've got Iron Man at the end of Endgame where he sacrifices for his child, but the cool thing about the Spider-Woman comic that was way too short-lived was she was a mom by day and a superhero by night, and it was balancing those things. It's the classic Spider-Man trope of him needing to work at the Daily Bugle, but also be Spider-Man, but also go to school and juggling all those things. It made Porcupine Man a really cool character, which is a sentence that's very hard to say. It made all sorts of bold choices with what it means to be a mom, and I got a lot of love for my mom. My mom had me as a teenager, and I somehow am not a crazy person. My mom took care of me. It takes a village. My mom and my whole family are incredible. I got a lot of love for moms, so I'd love to see the Spider-Woman mom story told, and I think Olivia Wilde's the perfect person to do it. Not to mention Jessica Drew has a fascinating backstory. Her parents are S.H.I.E.L.D. agent spies. Her powers come from a myriad of different places depending on the canon, but she's been experimented on. Jessica Drew, fun fact, is such a fascinating character. That is who the great Brian Michael Bendis wanted to take over the story of, and Marvel was like, who are you? This Bendis guy, I don't know who this is. Before Bendis was Bendis, and so he invented Jessica Jones, and now Jessica Drew and Jessica Jones are both icons at Marvel because of how much he wanted to write the Jessica book, so he made his own, and now they're both friends with Captain Marvel. It's this great thing, but the legacy of Jessica Drew is fantastic. So I personally really want Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. I personally really want Olivia Wilde to do the mom era. I'd also love to see her play Jessica Drew. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if she's at that Ben Affleck spot where she's like, I'm going to direct something and put myself in it, like The Town. I fucking love The Town. But I'd love to see her both star and direct it. So I'm very excited. So that is my 10-minute rant all about Jessica Drew, all about Olivia Wilde, all about hopefully the future of what the Sony universe of Marvel characters, the SMK, which just rolls off the tongue just like MCU. The tongue, which is a new word I just made up, just rolls off the tongue just like MCU, the SMK. I have a lot more hope in the Sony universe than a lot of people do. I think there's a lot of potential. I personally really enjoyed Venom. I personally think Spider-Verse is one of the best comic book movies of all time. So a lot of people look at the Marvel universe and go like, that's one type of movie. I think Sony can make a completely different type of movie. It looks like right now they're making it a horror-leaning universe. They've got Morbius, they've got Venom being very horror. They're kind of going that Monster of the Week flavor. But with this new wave, with Olivia Wilde joining, with the Silver and Black, with whatever the Madam Web movie is going to be, all of that, we can have another whole pocket. The Sony universe can really expand. So I'm very, very excited. I think this is a fantastic choice. I want that Jessica Drew book. Also, the current run of Jessica Drew, it's only 3 issues in. It's also a lot of fun. That is where I'm at. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope this only gets better and bigger, and I'm gonna keep you guys updated week to week on any new developments. This literally was confirmed today, not 2 hours ago, so I was very excited to jump on a live and talk with you guys about it. If you got any questions, the Streamlabs is the best way to reach me. The Streamlabs link is in the whatchamacallit. Any question you guys got, I'm happy to dive in. I usually do that in between stories. Speaking of which, let's jump over to our next story over in the world of DC. Now, DC has a lot happening this weekend. This upcoming weekend is DC Fandome. DC Fandome is my most anticipated event of the comic book year. Not even kidding. I could not be more excited for Fandome. Once they canceled WonderCon, I knew they were going to cancel San Diego and New York, and then Fandome was announced, and I was like, there's hope. There is something. So I'm really, really hoping that Fandome lives up to the impossibly high expectations. I apologize for being hyperbolic, but I need a good con. I want to talk about Mainframe Comic-Con at the end of the episode. That was a great con I got to participate in. I got to sit down with Tom King, Tom Taylor, Mark Waid, the Humanoids Inc. team, a lot of brilliant people. I had a great time. Got to talk to Jock, the artist. We'll talk about Mainframe Comic-Con later in the episode. Let's talk about Fandome first. DC Fandome looks to be this insane 24-hour event that got so big they ended up splitting it into two. Now there's a separate event in September that's going to feature a lot more interactive panels that's going to be like more on demand. So the one in September, on September 12th, you can actually play things at your leisure. The one that's happening this weekend looks to be a certain programmed block that's going to replay once. So there's going to be like an 8:30 The Batman panel. I'm just making up numbers. The schedule just changed, so I haven't seen the new times. But say there's an 8:30 Batman panel, it's going to play one more time, and that's the only time. I'm sure there's going to be people illegally bootlegging it. I'm sure you can find the information later, but it's going to be like the old TV setting, like where you'd see the guide, like the TV guide, like this is when you catch this, and then you got to wait for it to scroll back around. So that is what I'm really, really excited for, is the DC Fandome exclusivity. It's going to feel like a con, and that's really been lacking this year in my heart. Comic cons have been absolutely insane for the last 10 years. It's felt really weird not to have that season this year, and I'm sure if you're watching this show, you can empathize with that. So this feels like we're getting a taste of that back from the spectacle side. So there's a Wonder Woman panel, there is an insane sounding The Batman panel, and they just released a trailer for all of this, and they actually had in audio Matt Reeves saying, I couldn't come here without footage. So we have soft confirmation of the Batman footage, which is very, very exciting for me because I've been twitching for more Batman footage. But I am pulling up the times here so I can actually give you guys some of the things I'm so very looking forward to. Okay, so this is the morning of August 22nd. We've got a Wonder Woman 1984 panel at 10 a.m. That's going to be insane. Guys, it's Wonder Woman at 10 a.m. We get to wake up with the cast: Chris Pine, Gal Gadot, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal, Patty Jenkins herself. A 25-minute panel right first thing in the morning. Also at 10 a.m., very trickily, there's a Flash panel. Now, the Flash just joined. That's one of the CW shows that's going to be on this side of the September-August split, but that is very exciting because I need me some Flash in my life, and I'm really excited for it. So those are both bright and early in the morning. Later on in the afternoon, we've got, this is all on EW.com, by the way. This is where I'm getting all of my information. This is 4 days old. Hopefully it's the most updated of times. I'm not sure what might have changed in the last 24 hours. My next most excited is 11:30. They're playing the Pennyworth panel. The Pennyworth show is super slept on. It is a 20-minute panel all about Epix' Pennyworth. It's my favorite little show that could. It's got a second season. I was shocked at how good the first season was. It's incredible. Check out Pennyworth if you guys are watching the madness of DC Fandome. At noon, we've got the Suicide Squad panel. This is one of the longest panels. This is a 30-minute panel with writer-director James Gunn, and he will take on fan questions with the cast of Suicide Squad. The cast is gigantic. Holy crap. It is huge. So all of them testing their team members' knowledge is very exciting. So that is going to be happening at noon. Over at 12:30, the expansion of DC's Watchmen panel, a 25-minute panel with in-depth discussion between Damon Lindelof and Tom King about the Rorschach comic and the incredible Watchmen show. I can tell you firsthand, this might be an exclusive, I don't know, the Rorschach comic takes place not only in canon with the Watchmen show, but it takes place in simultaneous times So the Watchmen show and the Rorschach comic are simpatico. If you were wondering where Rorschach was during the show, if you missed the character of Rorschach, Tom King's comic answers those questions, and that we get to find out all of those details this weekend at 12:30. And if you watch the interview I did with Tom King, it is over on YouTube. You're on YouTube. I just realized. If you're on YouTube, look up Mainframe Comic Con Tom King, and I talked to them about that comic, and that's where I found out it is in fact the same continuity, which is so exciting. So we'll find out more details at 12:30 at DC Fandome. At 1:15, we've got Doom Patrol. The insane show Doom Patrol gets an entire panel over at 1:15. 1:30, there's a Chris Daughtry performance. A 10-minute dance party from Chris Daughtry. It's happening at 1:30 p.m. Let's see, there's a Superman and Lois panel that is going to run 30 minutes with Jim Lee moderating and discussing the Superman and Lois, the new show. And then the big one, y'all, 12:45, 25 minutes of Snyder Cut panel. Now, everyone is so excited for the Snyder Cut information. We've all been waiting. This is a big part of why I think DC Fandome is going to happen, is for Snyder Cut news. He is teasing photo after photo. We got a shot this week of Cyborg's origin that's going to finally see the light of day. He's bringing his cast. Snyder is going to field questions. We get 25 minutes of Snyder Cut at 12:45. What's tricky is that's a 25-minute panel, but you know what happens at 3? I don't know how that math works. 25 minutes plus 12:45 is 3:10. Anyway, 3 o'clock, according to this schedule, Black Adam. I am so excited for this one. Black Adam was announced before Shazam. Black Adam is The Rock playing Black frickin' Adam. And he's doing a Q&A with a few surprises and a 15-minute panel. I'm hearing a rumor. I usually don't bring up rumors, but this rumor seems credible, and it's coming up in time for them to announce it. This might be a spoiler for this weekend's panel, but I'm hearing, again, it's a rumor. It might be wrong. I usually don't get excited about rumors, but Alexander Skarsgård might be playing Hawkman, and they might be announcing it. So Hawkman, Alexander Skarsgård, very excited, and that might be some of the special news. I can see them announcing the cast. I think we're going to meet Atom, A-T-O-M. I think we're going to see a little tease of footage because he teased some footage. This is very exciting. So that is the Black Adam panel, 3 p.m. 4:30 p.m. Zach Levi, my boy. Zach Levi is doing a panel with the cast of Shazam at 4:30 p.m. It's only a 10-minute panel, but knowing Asher, knowing Jack Dylan Grazer, I traveled with the Shazam team. I did more press for Shazam than I've done for any movie ever, and I went to 3 different states across the country. I was everywhere. I was in Hawaii, New York, and California with Shazam. Went to premiere. Love that team. Love that family. 10 minutes is going to be energetic and crazy as hell. Shazam's going to surprise people. It's going to be one of those sleeper panels people aren't anticipating. It's going to be crazy. I think they're going to talk about Shazam 2 as well. Okay. Next up, 5 p.m. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game reveal. We're going to see some of the Suicide Squad game. Very, very excited. My main panel, my most anticipated panel, Suicide Squad's up there, Wonder Woman's up there, all those things are up there, but my most anticipated movie of the next 5 years, the goddamn Batman. The Batman panel is at 5:30, and it's a 30-minute panel. Matt Reeves himself is coming with a surprise or 2 for fans and footage according to the trailer. I am so excited for this panel. It is at 5:30 p.m. This is where I'm going to be Saturday at 5:30, is peeled, just ready and focused. At 6:30, friends of the show, friends of the meet, Cami Garcia and Gabrielle Piccolo are sitting down to do a Teen Titans spotlight for the comic book Teen Titans. They do this incredible series of books. I love them very, very dearly. Their new one, Beast Boy, is out. Check it out. Highly recommend it. Cami is a sweetheart. 6:45, we've got DC's Stargirl panel. 7:30, we've got Batwoman panel. We get to meet the new Batwoman. 8:15, we have the Harley Quinn panel. And then they play it all again. So you've got a daytime version and a nighttime version, and it's only available for those 24 hours. So those are just some highlights. They've got literally hundreds of hours of content between the 2 cons in August and September. Those are the highlights for me. Those are my personal highlights for the ones that drop on Saturday. That's where I'll be Saturday. It is starting bright and early in the morning and running until 8 p.m. at night, and then starting over again. So I'm elated. 10 a.m. Wonder Woman kicks it off, and it goes all evening. All right, I'm going to check the Streamlabs real quick before we go over to DC comic book news. Okay, DC comic book news. I wanted to start positive, and the positive is the Fandome, because there is some negative with the comic book stuff. Now, I did talk about this on my podcast, so if you guys listen to Coy-Cast, you've heard these quotes, but these are big enough quotes. These are literally industry redefining quotes. This changes the comic book industry, so I couldn't just leave it on the podcast. This is that rare story that crosses over to both video and podcast. So Jim Lee spoke at the Hollywood Reporter about what is going on at comic books, and it is a bit of, not worst case scenario, but more close to worst case scenario than good. He said, quote, this has been a really heavy, difficult time, not just for me, but for the entire organization. We've said goodbye to people that have been huge contributors and who have helped define and make DC what it is today. But we are still in the business of publishing comics. So far, kind of what you have to say, a lot of people lost their jobs, very terrifying times. This is where it gets messy for comic books themselves. Quote, publishing comics is still the cornerstone of everything that we do. The need for storytelling, updating the mythology is vital to what we do. The organization leans on us to share and establish the meaningful elements of the content that they need to use and incorporate for all of their adaptations. When we think about reaching global audiences and we see comics as helping drive that awareness and that international brand, it's very much part of our future. So to me, and this is maybe my pessimism, Jim Lee just referred to comic books as content fodder to make TV shows and movies. Comic books aren't just the mulch to make plants. It's not the manure that you make plants grow with. Comic books are their own fucking thing. So he's saying like comic books are the organization leans on us to build meaningful elements of the content that they will incorporate into their adaptations. Jim! No. It just feels so hollow. Like, he's a comic book guy. So, I mean, this is me being cynical because I love the medium of comic books, but that quote, like, really haunts me. I'm concerned. I'm worried for comic books. He further goes on to say, that said, we'll be reducing the size of the slate, but it's about looking at everything and looking at the bottom 25% of the line that wasn't breaking even or was losing money. It's about more punch for the pound, so to speak, and increasing the margins of the books that we are doing. It's about aligning the books to the franchise brand content we've developed and making sure that every book we put out for a reason. This is not a pencils down notice. Everyone has been notified to keep working on all the projects we've already greenlit and started. To that extent, there is no change. Ugh. So that's harsh, man. Like 20-25%, I get it. If something's not making money, a business has to make a business move. I understand that. AT&T bought this company, and I understand that the business of comic books is a hard one. But to hear about 20-25% of a line, to hear about comic books described as the material to be adapted, like that's not what that's all the worst case scenario dialogue between a corporation and a comic book company. Like it's like Disney coming out and saying like, we really need to make sure those comics only feel like MCU films. So there's always been a joke in the comic book industry, not always. In the last few years, there's been a joke in the comic book industries. There's the Marvel universe, the Image universe, and the Batman universe. And I'm really worried that comics at DC are just gonna become that. And I love a lot of the really bold things that DC's been doing. One of my favorite imprints of all time is the DC Black Label, which they just fired the editor of the DC Black Label. So I'm concerned overall, but as to not be a negative Nancy, there is always hope. And I get where they're coming from a business standpoint. I don't want this to be the beginning of the end of DC Comics. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that is a substantial change in what we've seen things so far. So I just wanted to update you guys. I talked about this a bit more on Coy-Cast, but those quotes are very intense. They're very jarring to the comic book industry, and we'll see what they mean. So that is the only bad news I'm bringing you guys today is I do worry about the state of DC Comics and therefore comic books in general, because DC is one of the big two. It's not a small company, it's a giant titan of comic books. So I got a Streamlabs super chat over from the great Jason Ritchie, friend of the show, great guy. Jason has this to say: being a coffee addict, I wanted to buy you a case of Death by Affogato. Ooh, or other coffee flavored beer for CB squared. Oh, dude, I love this. Okay, comic book and craft beer is getting a Death by Affogato if I can find it. Much appreciated. Going on to say, and if you layer it with pumpkin beer like a black and tan, it's called a White Girl, and it's even more delicious. All right, it's official. When we're up to that on the queue and perfect for the fall, perfect for that season, we'll be doing a White Girl with Death by Affogato if I can find it, in honor of Jason Ritchie over on Comic Books and Craft Beer. I will not forget this, sir. I've got it in writing now. That drink is happening, and probably going to happen while we're talking about Saga. So our next round of Comic Books and Craft Beer is going to be me and Jenny talking about Saga, and we're going to be mixing, but this coffee one's probably going to help because some weeks we're doing hard alcohol. So Comic Books and Craft Beer is going to alternate between craft beer and poachine, which is a craft liquor that I'm a big fan of. It means Dew of the Mountains, where Mountain Dew comes from. It is an Irish liquor that's illegal in Ireland, but legal in California, and it's one of my favorite drinks, and I'm hunting it down. So that's going to be a drink over on Comic Books and Craft Beer as well, which does break the title, but I'm okay with that. Thank you so much, Jason Ritchie. I am so excited to try this. White Girl and Death by Affogato sounds amazing. Coffee beer and pumpkin beer? Yes. Yes, sir. You are wise beyond your years. Thank you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you for the idea, and that will be done. Okay, back to the news. The Fandome split, just covered it. During Fandome, by the way, 200 comic books are going to be available for free. Those 24 hours, 200 comic books are also going to be available on that site. So if you guys aren't DC Daily subscribers, if you're not comic book aficionados, if you're not Wednesday Warriors, and you want to try some comic books out, on Saturday, you've got 24 hours to check out over 200 comic books on DC Fandome. So they haven't announced the titles yet. Some of the art shows like DC death metal stuff. I'm sure it's going to be comics that are being adapted into these shows. You might be able to find some Snyder, some Scott Snyder, not Zack Snyder, some Scott Snyder written material, because I think that's what they're basing the Batman off of. So if you're looking to get into comic books, 200 comics are available on DC Fandome on Saturday. If they release the list, I will update it and let you guys know. That's super exciting, and it's a great opportunity for people to read comic books that might not otherwise get that opportunity. So that is this Saturday, August 22nd, and then again, there's another day of DC Fandome on September 12th for you guys to check out. All right, and that said, all of the DC Universe content, speaking of comic books, will be going over to HBO Max. So I don't know if that means the comic books or just the content, like the movies and things and shows, will inevitably landing on HBO Max, like everyone assumed, but it's important to let you guys know that is in fact happening. So if you're a fan of this show or that show, it will land on HBO Max eventually. So those shows aren't definitively canceled, be aware, but HBO Max will be getting them. So speaking of DC, found out this week a bunch of news about Wonder Woman, but I don't know if you guys are like me. I'm avoiding Wonder Woman spoilers like the plague. So I'm avoiding all the set visits. I'm avoiding all of the breakdowns of characters. I'm avoiding toys. Toys are always a problem for spoilers. And people don't realize Wonder Woman's gotten pushed around almost as much as New Mutants. Wonder Woman got pushed like a year, and then coronavirus happened. So Wonder Woman's definitely been done for a while. So I'm terrified of spoilers because that movie's been finished for a minute. But this quote I came across doesn't seem like there's any spoilers in it, so I wanted to share it with you guys because it made me really excited. Again, no spoilers. Again, avoiding spoilers. Patty Jenkins originally wanted Cheetah in the first film, the first Wonder Woman. Quote saying quote, it's one of those things where I found myself saying there was something about what the world wants to talk about right now, and she happens to have this lasso of truth, and truth ends up figuring in very large. And so yeah, it all started to come together then, and then the different plot things, and Cheetah, and knowing we wanted Cheetah. I think we even talked about wanting Cheetah to show up at the beginning of the last movie because we were going to even plant her in the first one, so it was kind of forming up for a long time. So I can't wait to see Cheetah. I can't wait to see Kristen Wiig's performance. Can't wait to see all those things, but it's fascinating to think that she's been wanting this character for, what, 5 years now? Longer? Because she would have been in pre-production in, what, like 2014, 2015 on Wonder Woman 1, so Cheetah's been planned for a long time, and now we're finally going to get her. I know there's some spoilers out there with what she looks like via toy. I still haven't seen them, thankfully, but I can't wait to see what Kristen Wiig transforms into. Cheetah's such an important character to Wonder Woman lore. She's such a cool character and a great counter to Wonder Woman. And I've seen a couple headlines, again, avoiding everything I can, saying that this isn't like a sequel in the traditional sense. So I'm wondering if this is an Elseworld. I'm wondering if this is an alternate reality that we split the universe. Like Flashpoint can retroactively change a lot of shit. So I'm wondering if 1984 is actually when this is set. We do have Steve Trevor alive. I have a lot of questions. It seems like he doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I love it. That said, I will not be seeing Wonder Woman at home no matter what. I will wait. If the world stops again, which I think it's going to, personally, I only think movie theaters are going to be open for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to shut them down again. But like, if November theaters are opened, I'm going to have to wait, because I don't think it's going to be safe this year. So as of now, November is still the release date for Wonder Woman, but as of now, you're still sitting inside around people without masks, so they're eating food, probably, and breathing indoors. So I don't know what I'm going to do about Wonder Woman 84, except pine. I pine, I burn, I perish. I want that Wonder Woman 84. So every quote gets me more excited. Speaking of weird quotes, let's talk about Joel Schumacher's Batman Unchained. you guys probably know I'm a giant Joel Schumacher fan. I've been a Joel Schumacher fan my whole life. And his Batmans are what he's known for in a lot of weird circles, which is a bummer because he made Lost Boys. He produced a lot of incredible stuff. He made Falling Down. He made Phone Booth. He made so many things. But the great Joel Schumacher almost made a third very, very weird Batman, because the first two were very strange. The third one's getting even weirder and bigger and crazier. Apparently, and I've heard this rumor a long time, but I never knew the context, Harley Quinn was supposed to be in this third Batman, and it was going to be a very different Harley Quinn, and now there's details. So, from what is known about the canned Batman Unchained, it would have been more of the same, one too many villains and total silliness. The Scarecrow Jonathan Crane was set to be the main villain alongside Harley Quinn, with Courtney Love being eyed for the role. Now, Scarecrow Jonathan Crane was set to be Nicolas Cage, as far as I've heard, the legend. So it'd be Nicolas Cage as Scarecrow and Courtney Love being looked up for Harley Quinn. Harley was a sadistic, though playful toy maker, very much like the character Toy Maker, who discovers the Joker was her biological father. The revelation puts her on a path of revenge against Batman, who she blames for her father's death in the first film. Because you remember, we've heard rumors forever that Jack Nicholson was going to reprise his role for like 3 scenes or 2 scenes as like a hallucination. This would have been how that happened with the insane. Harley would have teamed up with Scarecrow, played by either Nicolas Cage or Coolio. Coolio getting that awesome director's cut scene in Daredevil. Apparently he's a comic book fan for even longer. Nicolas Cage or Coolio as Scarecrow, who would use his famous fear toxin to resurrect Joker as a hallucination in Batman's mind. Guys, that means there is a universe, there is another alternate reality where Nicolas Cage and or Coolio, depending on which universe we're talking about, played Scarecrow, and Courtney Love played Harley Quinn, who was the daughter of the Joker. And that means on screen we would have had Nicolas Cage and or Coolio, Courtney Love, Michael Keaton, tear gas, Jack Nicholson. How insane is that? That is just madness. I like to daydream. I like to daydream about that possibility, and I wanted to share that with y'all. That was apparently going to be the third Batman film from Joel Schumacher. So it would have been Batman Forever. Is that the second one? Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and then Batman Unchained, and holy crap, what insanity that would have been. And Jack Nicholson back as the Joker is just crazy after 5 movies. Anyway, holy crap. Speaking of Batman, The Batman is scheduled to return to production in September. Now, that is exciting news for a fan of Batman that wants to see this movie very, very badly. Bit concerning news for how that's going to be safe. Jurassic World has put in a $9.2 million safety protocols to resume filming. The irony does not escape me that a movie that is based on a franchise about opening a park too soon and sparing no expense and then everything going awry is starting to go awry. They're filming in Malta, and apparently there's an outbreak over there, so they're getting concerned. Again, irony isn't dead. It's just making movies. But The Batman is set to resume on studio lots, which is much safer than filming on location, in September. So theoretically, we are on track for some more Batman goodness when it resumes in September. We'll see how that changes over the next couple weeks, but that is the most recent update of what is going on with The Batman, my most anticipated movie of the year 2021. Michael McCarcel in the Streamlabs. Michael McCarcel has this to say. Had to take a phone call, so I'll have to catch the replay. The thing I'm looking forward to most from Fandome is our next look at The Batman. I am so damn excited for that movie. Again, Michael McCarcel and I seeing very much eye to eye. He has incredible taste in movies, and we always have good conversations, and he wasn't even here to hear me hype on The Batman. He just agrees. I agree, Michael McCarcel. I am so endlessly excited for The Batman. What a journey. And also, folks in the show and the YouTube, Death Note was thanks to Michael McCarcel. So if you guys are fans of Death Note, there is a review as sponsored by patron saint of awesome, Mr. Michael McCarcel, where you can see me talk about the first 5 episodes of Death Note as a comic book fan that used to love anime, that is diving back into anime through 3 animes. Death Note has been dark, depraved, and so densely smart. So check out my review of the first 5 episodes as brought to you by Michael McCarcel. Thank you for the Streamlabs. I am so excited for The Batman as well. It's everything about it. The cast, the theoretical premise, Matt Reeves directing, the first look images, the bat tone mixed with Batmobile, mixed with Batbike, everything we've seen. I am so excited. So I agree, The Batman, most anticipated. Okay, over to the world of trailers. Before we get to movie reviews, I want to talk about trailers, the other side of reviews, before a movie's out. Death on the Nile is the sequel to one of my top 10 favorite movies of 2017, which was the incredible Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot in, I forget the name of the movie. It was an Agatha Christie movie. I forget the name of it. I'm a horrible fan of that movie. It's my top 10 favorite movies. I remember the cast. I remember loving it. I forget the name. This is why I don't schmo down. Anyway, it was a spectacular film, made my top 10, and I've been so excited to check it out for years. Ever since those credits rolled, I was like, I need the sequel, and now we're getting it. Agatha Christie books are incredible. There's so many of them, and Kenneth Branagh is clearly a huge fan. His mustache is smaller in this trailer. That's the only negative I have about this trailer. His mustache is smaller. There's a great bit in the first one where he has a mustache protector that made me like belly laugh every time I saw that movie. Anyway, this new trailer is full of intrigue. It's full of beautifully atmospheric shots. It feels like reading a book. The trailer is so good, it makes you feel like you're delving into the world of an Agatha Christie novel. It makes you feel like you're immersed, flipping pages in a cabin. Like, the way this trailer just captures the atmosphere of reading a mystery novel is so impressive, just through beautiful framing and directing and editing. Like, this trailer is magnificent. The work of art that is trailers is slept on. Trailers have to make you excited about a movie in 3 minutes, and they have to try to not show anything. Usually they fail at that, and those trailers I'm mad at. But trailers themselves are their own separate art form. It's its own thing for 3 minutes. This trailer is magnificent. This cast is insane. So many of your favorite people are in this movie. It comes out theoretically, I think the end of this year, but you can watch the trailer right now. It is called Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile is now one of my most anticipated bits of art. Actually, to be totally honest, 2017 was a long time ago. I didn't realize this was coming out so soon because we hadn't seen any footage. This looks so bitchin'. I don't want to give any of the cast away because part of the joy of the trailer is seeing people pop up that you really like. Like, it's fun because this kind of ensemble, when you're like, that person, that person, that person. So I'm not going to say who's in the movie, but a lot of your favorite people are. It looks glorious. Look up Death on the Nile trailer and have yourself a ride. Okay, I'm going to check Streamlabs and the chat one more time before I get into reviews. I'm once again trying to review as many 2020 movies as I can as they come out on streaming on this very channel because we're not getting a lot of them. So when they come out, I want to try to cover them. I'm going to avoid spoilers for both. So if you haven't seen them, that's okay. These are non-spoiler reviews for both Capone and Project Power. Capone is a movie that was supposed to come out to theaters that ended up going to streaming, but it did so with Josh Trank getting 100% of the editing ability. So it's completely edited by Josh Trank, directed by Josh Trank, so his creative control is part of it going to streaming. So that's one of those times I think it's cool that we have this option to have streaming. That said, it was not the movie I hoped it would be, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. I'm going to quickly check the chat. Hello to everyone in the chat. You are all fantastic human beings. I appreciate the hell out of you. Let's see. People saying hi, people talking to my mom. You're all great. Makes me very happy. Let's see. My mom in full support of that beer combination. Hell yeah. Let's see. All right, we're caught up. My mom's talking about movie theaters. Okay, cool. So, folks, let's talk about Project Power first. Project Power is a brand new Netflix original movie available on Netflix, but it's produced by Netflix. It's a Netflix film. It stars Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's about superhero tropes. All of this is my exact shit. I'm a giant JGL fan. I'm a giant Jamie Foxx fan. I'm a giant Machine Gun Kelly fan, who's also in the film. JGL, MGK, JFX. I'm a huge fan of all those people. So I had high expectations for this film, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh, it's kind of doing a Limitless meets X-Men set in New Orleans kind of thing. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And then the movie doesn't really... It's like it's playing with so many ingredients from comic books, it never lets itself digest in them. So it kind of does the set piece, and then the characters will say the subtext of why this is a really cool, broad idea, and they don't really like let it rest. So the movie itself, I gave a C. It's a really fun watch. It's really stunning. It's very pretty. It's a very atmospherically beautiful film. It really worked for me as a blockbuster if I turn my brain off, but unfortunately it didn't have the depth that I expected it to when you got Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. You get those, like, those are both Oscar actors. Like, Jamie Foxx is one of the most talented people on the planet, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of the best character actors, hard stop. Whenever Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in something, I see it, and whenever Jamie Foxx is in something, I assume the script is like a 10. So I think my expectations were a little high because of the talent that was brought to it. It's also been really nice to see Joe Gordon-Levitt back for the first time in 3 years. He's in this, and he's in 7500 over on Amazon. Spectacular film. But the movie always, it moved along at a great pace, but stayed feeling kind of hollow. So if you want just a summer blockbuster, this is definitely that. The special effects are great. There's an incredible shot in the trailer, which I wish it wasn't, of Joseph Gordon-Levitt using his power set. And it feels like New Orleans. Now, I'm not from New Orleans. I've only been there once, so I cannot speak to a local's sensibilities. But having visited NOLA, this felt like when I visited, and that's, I mean, it's the surface feeling of it. But it was really cool to watch a movie that felt like a place I'd visited, that was so atmospheric and so culturally rich. Like, I loved New Orleans. I need to go back. And I really want to go back. It's one of the only places I've been to that it's as high or higher than places I haven't been to because I loved it so much I need to dive in deeper, if that makes sense. So it captured that, like, longing for New Orleans, and the powers are really cool, but it felt like a lower end, in the early 2000s when we had our Ghost Rider or Daredevil, that era of superhero movies. So if this had come out earlier, maybe it would have been a higher grade, but it didn't quite stick the landing for where we are with modern superhero films. It didn't feel like a post-Avengers movie. It didn't feel post-Batman Begins. It didn't feel like after 2006 the game changed. After 2008 the game changed again. After Phase 2, like, so it's good, but it's not the depth of movie you want in the genre nowadays. So do check it out. It's a C. Don't expect a lot from it. You'll probably enjoy it more than I did. Performances are all great. There's a new actress in it that's fantastic. The young girl in the movie is very good. But yes, it's not a Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt level. So gave it a C. Worth checking out. A C is an average grade. I grade in a bell curve, so I grade basically, like, I've only given 16 A pluses in my entire life, and I've only given like 20 Fs my whole life, and I've given probably like hundreds of C's. So I kind of grade like C is an average, C plus is above average, B is a movie you'd recommend to someone, B to B plus is a movie you'd own, and A minus is like, holy crap, and A is very rare, etc., etc. So C is perfectly average. It is an average movie. It is worth checking out. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. If you don't follow me on Letterboxd, I rate all the movies there. So if you want to know, like, quick thoughts of what I think of movies, Letterboxd is a great social media app to see what I think of things. But it is a 3-star film. It is a C. It is a fun time, but it doesn't have a lot more depth than that. Okay, over to Capone. Capone, I'll preface, this was a C-. This was slightly below average. It was a movie that did a lot with a little amount of time, but still felt like I wanted to know more about what was going on over there, and over there, which was a really weird feeling because it's a very contained film, but I felt like there was other things to say within those very small parameters. So it felt almost like Josh Trank was going for like a Kubrickian style film, which is really interesting considering it was a Tom Hardy film, and one of the best non-Kubrick films that feels like a Kubrick film is Bronson. If you've never seen Bronson, it's one of my top 20 movies of all time. I love Bronson. And it feels like Kubrick made it, but it's not a Kubrick movie. So it's interesting to watch another Tom Hardy movie that's like almost, that's like right there. It just it didn't quite work for me. So the neuroses and insanity of the character was fascinating. It's about the neurosyphilis takeover of Al Capone. So it's a fall from grace gangster movie, which is very, like, The Irishman also tried to do this. I didn't like The Irishman. Sorry, cinephiles. This was more entertaining than The Irishman, but it was the descent into madness of Al Capone is a fascinating idea. The cast is great. It's got Linda Cardellini in it. It's got Noel Fisher in it. The cast is expansive and fantastic, but it's largely a one-man show about Alphonse. It's largely a movie about, the fall from glory that happened to Al Capone. He had this insane empire, went to prison, got let out of prison because he was deemed no longer a threat, and then people were spying on him for the last 18 months of his life as he went insane. This is the story of his insanity. There's so much more potential there. There's so much more hope for scope and it just didn't quite land for me. So it's worth watching for Tom Hardy's performance. It's worth it for the atmosphere. It's worth seeing Josh Trank do something post Fantastic Four. He's only done 3 films. He's done Chronicle, Fantastic Four, and now Capone, and it just didn't quite land. So C- for me. Which is somewhere between 2.5, 3 stars in the way I rate. The way I rate, by the way, is 5 stars is an A+, 4.5 stars is A to A-, 4 stars is B+ to A-, 3.5 stars is like B to B+, 3 stars is C's, 2.5 stars. Anyway, it makes sense when I look at it visually. Doesn't matter. I'm giving you letters. C- for Capone. It worked, but it didn't work in a way that I wanted it to, and I think I was way too excited because I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. So those are my 2 reviews for 2 things you can stream right now. You can check out the Capone film over on Amazon. It is worth it for Tom Hardy. It is worth it for Linda Cardellini, who is super slept on as an actress. Linda Cardellini is a powerhouse, and she really gets to play here. It is worth watching, but it's not anything to write home about. And my rating's a little low because I was too excited for it. It was, again, one of my most anticipated of the year. And American Pickle, on the other hand, was also one of my most anticipated of the year, but it lived up to that. And then a C, a slightly higher grade for Project Power, just because the visual specter and splendor and spectacle that kept you entertained, even though it felt a little shallow. Okay, over to, I saw a Streamlab or 2 pop up. I wanted to make sure I got to those before I missed the question, in case it was relevant to what we were talking about currently. We've got, all right, got a few. We got Smack Talk has lost count. Smack Talk, always the evolving names. This one about his name's always evolving. I respect it. Hey Coy, I missed the last CD squared because I was getting ready for a move of my own. Dude, moving's a bitch, but I respect it. Stay strong, hydrate. Moving, especially when it's this hot, but always hydrate when you're moving. Shout out to any pond stars in Arizona. Yo, if there's any koi ponders in Arizona, send Smack Talk some love. Also, dude, it's so hot. Man, oh man. Okay, I haven't watched or read anything in over a month, but I can't wait to get back into Saga once I settle back down. Dude, okay, so we're going to be doing Saga on Comic Book and Craft Beer, which is why you probably referenced it here, but we're going to be going, I think, at 6-issue arcs. I started doing a read-along of Saga on the podcast, but I kept wanting to talk about the visuals. Then I started doing it here. Then that could have been the whole hour of the show. So being that Jenny is a giant Saga fan herself, we were like, what if we do 6 issues at a time and we just dive into each volume of Saga? So there's 54 issues of Saga. I don't know if we're going to do this for 9 weeks, but I think it's really cool that you guys can read only 6 issues and watch that week, and then 6 issues, and like, we can't do that show every week because I can't drink that often and I don't have time to do that show every month, but it'll give people time to read Saga, to catch up, to enjoy. So perfect timing for you to be reading Saga, for getting back into it, and thank you as ever for the Streamlabs. Much appreciated, and I'm stoked for you to come back to Comic Books and Craft Beer. Good luck with the move, Smack Talk. Moving sucks, but it's always worth it when you land. Okay. Mr. John Getz, the great John Getz, the man that is getting me deeper into My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia Part 2 of Season 2 review is coming next week. The last week of the month, we are doing more My Hero Academia. This week, there's a candy review coming for AJ Lancaster. I'll talk all about the schedule at the end of the episode for the Ride or Die Koi Pond members. If you guys are here at the end of the episode, that's when the schedule happens, and we talk all the details. But John Getz, we're doing My Hero Academia Season 2, Part 2. John Getz, checking out Back to the Future for my first cinema experience since March tomorrow. Holy shit. 15-cent ticket, no contact concessions, and masking up. Hopefully it's not crowded and everything is clean. John Getz, I respect you. Be safe. Be careful. I'm so glad you were aware of all these parameters. I'm so glad you're taking all of these cautions. Like, that is that's the definition of what I want to see, good sir. Report back. You let me know. You let me know how it goes. You let me know you're safe. You let me know in 2 weeks if you're healthy. You're a smart guy, be cautious, but dude, enjoy that shit. I miss the theater so fucking much. The last thing I saw was either Onward or The Gentleman. I can't remember now which, because I saw them both in the same week, and then I saw The Gentleman a second time, so I don't know if that came before Onward or not, but I saw Gentleman twice and Onward once, and then I was thinking about going to see Bloodshot. But that was after, like, Tom Hanks had already been diagnosed, and I remember there being a day of, like, I can go to the theater or not, so I didn't get to see Bloodshot. That's the era that I was. So I think that was March, not February. That must have been March. So I think I'm the same as you. I think March was the last time I was at the theater, and I miss it so much. It's been 5 months. I'm currently, like, not immunocompromised, but my system gets fucked easily because I had a tapeworm. That's a long story. I had a tapeworm. So I don't want to risk getting sick. So I personally won't be going to the theater. So I'm going to live vicariously through John Getz. John, let me know how it goes. Also from John Getz in the super chat. Also, holy crap, I got the notification that tickets were available and had to buy them immediately for New Mutants caps. It still doesn't feel real that this movie is coming out. John, I was jealous before. I was jealous about you going to the theater. I was jealous about you seeing Back to the Future. I've got Back to the Future right there on Blu-ray. I can watch Back to the Future right now. I can watch all 3 in the next 6 hours. I don't have time, and I got a bunch of stuff to do. I gotta go film a promo for Kevin Smith match. I got stuff to do, but I could watch Back to the Future. You know what I can't do? I can't watch New Mutants. And I'm jealous, John. I'm real jealous, because I've been waiting for New Mutants as long as anyone. I know lots of stuff about New Mutants, because there was a set visit in Boston, and I know people in Boston. I know people that were on the set. I know a lot of things about New Mutants, and I want to see them fully experienced, and I am losing my goddamn mind, and I hope it's as great as it looks, and I really hope you have a great time, but know that I'm jealous as hell. Okay, enjoy New Mutants, John. I'm jealous. All right, back to the news, and we'll jump back into chat, etc. Near the end of the show, which we are approaching the end of the show. All right, so this week we also found out that we're getting a new Eternals comic book. Now, the Eternals was supposed to be out by now, so it makes sense that a comic book that would have been tied into the Eternals. Wait, not out by now. November. Sorry. It's not November yet. What is time? The Eternals was set to be out in November, so a new comic book is coming out in November that would have tied into the movie release. That's always very important to pimp comics that are going to tie people into the movie, because the average everyday person doesn't know how comic books works. They go to a comic book store, they're like, I just saw this movie, do you have any Eternals comic books? It's so smart to have an Eternals #1 available and to make it a very accessible book. So an accessible #1 from a great creative team is how you get a new reader. That was set to happen in November. The comic is still coming out, even though the movie's not. So in November, we are getting a new Eternals book, and it's got art from Asad Rabis, who I love so much. This art is stunning. I'm very, very excited for it. And because of that, Eternals was trending on Twitter. So that made me really excited to see Eternals trending. Karen Gillan is doing the words. Like I said, Asad Rabis is doing the art. That is an incredible duo. I am very, very excited that is coming out in November. Also in November is a new Wolverine anthology book, which is Wolverine Black and White and Red, which looks suspiciously like Harley Quinn Black and White and Red, but it's an anthology book with all sorts of different creators that I really admire. Donny Cates is doing one, Andy Kubert's doing a bunch of art. Very excited for the entire medley of stuff coming from this Wolverine anthology book. I'm a huge fan of Wolverine. I'm also a huge fan of the all-new Wolverine. I'm also a huge fan of Jonathan and all those characters, so I'm very hopeful for more Eternals, and I'm very hopeful for a new run to make a lot more sense than the varied continuity and chronology that Eternals has had in the past. A streamlined Eternals would be a great, great thing. So that is coming from the House of Ideas Marvel Comics in November. Keep your eyes peeled for those. On the side of DC Comics, it was very tricky to hear about 20 to 25% of their comic line being taken down. One of the books that got canceled is John Constantine Hellblazer, which I think is one of the best Hellblazer runs of all time. I think that it's a real bummer that we're going to lose a lot of very inventive dark books, because DC's been doing really well with those. But as new books are announced, as this new slate goes forward, I will keep you guys posted on positive, good DC stuff, because I think DC has gotten a bad rap these last few years. Someone actually commented on one of the YouTube, I don't remember what show. Something, it was a YouTube comment, I can remember the visual, saying they've been reading mainly Marvel and Batman, and that's it. And I realized when they commented, I'm like, I'm actually like a third. I'm reading a lot of Marvel, but my top 10 are usually like a third Marvel, a third DC, and then a third all the indies, because the indies just put out less books. So it makes sense that all the indie houses would add up to the big two. But like, DC's been doing good work, so it's really a shame that we're losing 20-25%. So hopefully we got more good news soon, and maybe after Fandome there'll be a new surge of hope after these layoffs and these comic cancellations. It's a real bummer. Speaking of comic books, I got a pull list for you guys. This week I recommend In the World of Comic Books. You can pick these up right now. These are my favorite comic books from last week. These are the week of August 12th, 2020. My favorite books were Adventure Man number 3, Batman's Grave number 9, which is a great action book, a lot of detecting, a lot of detective work. It's a really good time. Captain Marvel number 19. This is the most I've enjoyed Captain Marvel as a character in a while. She's very hard to write because her power set is insane. This book is doing a great job. Free Comic Book Day 2020 Spider-Man has a two-part story, or a two-parter of a comic book. Jed MacKay with Black Cat Spider-Man over there, Spider-Man with Venom and Ryan Stegman art over here. Really solid Free Comic Book Day book. Firepower number 2. Kirkman writing a new story that I am loving the hell out of from Image and Skybound. It's only in issue 2. You only got to pick up 2 issues to be caught up. It is a spectacular book. Check out Firepower. Highly recommend it. Green Lantern Season 2 number 6. Fantastic space cop book. Hawkeye Freefall number 5, now in print. Immortal Hulk number 36, the continued glory of Immortal Hulk, cannot be overstated. Marauders number 11, Kate Pryde, back from the dead. This plays with all sorts of X-Men always die and come back to life mythology, especially now with Krakoa. The Resistance number 4, super indie book, J. Michael Straczynski from a comic company I didn't even know about until this year called AWA. Fantastic story about a plague, about a pandemic. Feels very scary to be reading that right now because it was written before the fucking pandemic started. Check it out. Let's see, 7 Secrets number 1. This book sold out its first 2 printings before it went to stores. It sold out its first printing before it even touched the stands. Second printings are gone. Third printings are happening. Tom Taylor, who I talked to this week, which I'll plug at the end of this episode, is a fantastic writer. 7 Secrets number 1, highly recommend it. It's like Romancing the Stone, Indiana Jones kind of flavor with Damon Lindelof and J.J. Abrams' like mystery box. It's dope. We've also got Something is Killing Children number 9, a noir, fucked up murder piece of art from James Tynion IV. It's fantastic, but it's really messy. Venom number 27, Donny Cates writes the fuck out of some Venom. Highly recommend his Venom run. Wonder Woman 760 is issue 2 of a new creative team. Issue 759 might as well be an issue number 1. You don't have to read Wonder Woman at all to get this world. So 760, highly recommend you pick up 759 and 760. Some of the best Wonder Woman I've read in years. Really recommend it. And finally, X-Force number 11. One of my favorite runs post-Hoxpox is the Mercenary Team of X-Men. Those are my favorite books from last week. I've only got a few to plug for this week because this is a smaller week in comics. My favorite comic books, not my favorite, my most anticipated comic books, the ones I'm looking forward to picking up when I go to the comic store tomorrow. I was going to go today, but I wanted to talk to you guys. My comic store is closed now, but Olivia Wilde wasn't going to wait. I had to talk Olivia Wilde, Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, so I jumped on this live. Comic store will be there tomorrow. This week's comics that I'm picking up, excited about, for the week of August 19th, today. We got Ant-Man number 5, now in print. We've got Avengers number 35. We've got Batman 97, which is a continuation of the war where the Joker has taken over Gotham with all Batman's money. It's crazy times. We've got Cable number 3. A little iffy on young Cable, but this is a Deadpool issue, so I'm going to check it out. We've got Captain America number 22, Captain Marvel number 20. Decorum is a dope indie book about the code of assassins that is told like existentially. It's a book about rules and politeness, but also it has like these crazy grand concepts, and it's a mind fuck. I like Decorum a lot. Empire X-Men number 4, iffy on the Empire titles. Excalibur number 11, Maestro number 1, new book, gonna check it out. Spider-Woman number 3, I gave Spider-Woman a lot of love at the top of this episode. Big fan of Spider-Woman. Checking out issue 3. Star number 4, once again, we'll see. Thor number 6, Donny Cates' Thor is one of my favorite runs of all time. I'm loving Thor number 6. Valkyrie Jane Foster, if you guys are Jason Aaron fans, Jason Aaron took over the Valkyrie stuff, so Jason Aaron doing Valkyrie Jane Foster number 10 this week. Finally, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth number 4, and Wolverine number 4. So, a lot of comics, but a lot of good stuff, a lot of things to read. I'm currently reading all that, as well as reading the Ultimate Universe chronologically. So I went back to like Ultimate Origins, Ultimate Electro Daredevil, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and I'm reading through all of the 1610 universe, but in chronological order. So like World War II comes before Ultimate Spider-Man and all that shit. So I found this cool site through Marvel's Fandome. Fandome. The website's Fandome. Fandome's the DC thing. Marvel Fandome, they've got a whole chronological order reading list, which is dope. We've also got me reading the Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life. I'm trying to get into politics more, and Jordan Peterson's like a figure for the far right now that I don't think he's set out to be. He's a clinical psychologist, and he has very controversial... The book's a little misogynistic so far, but a lot of his broad ideas are interesting. So it's about like the way humans interact, and I'm trying to understand how people think, and it's an interesting way to look at things. So I'm reading that as well as all of my comic books. I'm watching currently The West Wing, as well as watching Zac Efron's Down to Earth, and I'm trying to get back into Community. I'm on season 4, so I'm going to be watching community going forward, talking about that on this very show. And then my streaming recommendations for this month. So if you guys know this show, you know I pick the week that it is and say what I'm looking forward to streaming that week. I never have time to watch these, but these are movies I enjoy that are now currently streaming. We've got Casino Royale dropping on Netflix and Hulu, as well as Quantum of Solace on Netflix and Hulu at the end of the month on August 31st. We've got Amazon, nothing new this week. Disney Plus is getting Alice Through the Looking Glass on the 28th, as well as Fantastic Four. The weird Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans are coming to Disney Plus at the end of the month. And then HBO Max has Lovecraft Country, which is going to be it's like 5th down on the queue. I'm very excited for Lovecraft Country. That started on the 16th, so I'll be checking that out as soon as I have time. They also got Queen and Slim on the 22nd, so 3 days from now, Queen and Slim is available. One of my favorite movies of last year. Highly recommend it. This incredible Bonnie and Clyde story that's so fucking good. And then The Way Back, Ben Affleck acting his eyeballs out in an alcoholic commentary and sports commentary story from the great Gavin O'Connor, one of my favorite directors. That drops on the 29th. So there's all sorts of good stuff available to stream this week. Watch things at home, it's safer. John Getz, I believe in you though. You got this, be careful. It's gonna be so interesting as things like open back up a little and then like close back down and open back up a little, and we'll see. It's fucking weird to think about. All right, I think I got all the super chats and all of the Streamlabs, so I think we got everything in there. I'm gonna quickly pop over and just speed peruse this here glorious chat with everybody in here. I love that John's icon is that intense mask situation, because I had not seen that before, and that just made me snicker. Let's see. I talked about the Spider News. Kate Van D, Spider News at the top of the show. I promise it was there. Let's see. John says, agreed. Every time I have a big classic that I haven't seen, I try to hold out for the big screen. Saw Grease a couple years ago. Yeah, dude, I love that shit too. Like, I am a huge fan of seeing classics on the big screen because it's the closest you can get to that experience. And if you've missed it that long, it's worth waiting for. So I do the same thing, John. All right. Lily Morton. Hey, Coy, you briefly talked about the Spider-Woman run out currently. Would you recommend? Haven't read any Spider-Woman books before, but would be keen to check it out, though. Okay, so the current Spider-Woman run is on issue 3. And I do recommend that run, but it isn't, I think, in my personal opinion, this is just my take as a reader of comic books, the Spider-Woman run from the, I want to say it was 2018? I'm trying to pull that up right now, and I can tell you guys which run that was. 2015. Jesus, that was a while ago. Okay, Spider-Woman run from 2015 is my favorite Spider-Woman run. So 5 years ago, it was from Dennis Hopeless, and it had mainly this artist with the last name of Fish that rotated through. Oh shit, a lot of it's available on Marvel Unlimited. Guys, Marvel Unlimited, and you can read it for free. It only ran 17 issues. So it's a very short run. It is my favorite Spider-Woman. A very great, concise 17 issues, came out in 2015. I hope that answers your question, Lily. That is my favorite Spider-Woman run. All right. Scott Welsh, I got an email from Landmark Cinema this morning about Tenet going on sale. Still too dangerous for me, though. We're back up to 75 cases a day in here in Vancouver. Those numbers are nice and small compared to America. Be safe in Vancouver, man. I talked about the Black Adam rumors with Alexander Skarsgård. Yes, I'm hopeful. I heard those rumors. We'll see. We will see. All right. I talked about Jensen Ackles all over my podcast, so I didn't want to be redundant and talk about it here as well. Very enthusiastic thumbs up. I think that he is Captain America. He could have played a great Captain America, and the character of Soldier Boy is a commentary in Captain America, so it's a great tongue-in-cheek, especially with how much he clearly loves comics. He always dresses like a superhero for Halloween and shit. Big fan of Jensen Ackles, the comic fan, so I'm very excited to see a Soldier Boy on The Glorious, Glorious Boys Season 3. All right, I think that is going to cover the news for today. We went a little over an hour, which I always try not to do because YouTube hates when I go over an hour, but I want to spend time with you guys and I want to answer questions. If I missed any questions, sorry, the Streamlabs is the best way to get me, and I know there's more than I missed in the live chat, but I got all the Streamlabs, got all the super chats. Guys, this was a rad show. I'm very glad I got to spend some time with you on a Wednesday. Let me know in the comments if Wednesdays work better for you, because I can move this show to Wednesday and have my podcast and this drop. That's fine with me. Tomorrow, tomorrow, Thursday, I'll be doing another episode of Coy-Lection with my DVDs K through Z. So Coy-Lection is going to come back tomorrow. Very excited to do more Coy-Lection stuff with you. Friday, there is a pay-per-view match with Shazam going up against Who's the Boss, which is very exciting stuff, as well as Shazam versus Final Exam dropping for free on YouTube. So there's tons and tons of Schmodown stuff going on Friday. Next week is Kevin Smith. Yes, the Kevin Smith match is dropping next Friday for everyone. It is not a pay-per-view. It is a free match for the world. So Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho is next Friday, the 28th. Nope, it's Saturday, I guess. Yes, Saturday. Apologies. It is a very special Saturday episode of the Schmodown. I'm glad I just thought of that. Yeah, Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho on the 28th of August. I am so excited. I've almost finished filming my promo for that. I'm going to be sharing that very soon. It has been a labor of love and excitement to film a promo for fucking Kevin Smith. So that drops next week. Promo drops even sooner. In addition to that, there is a Death Note review from Michael McCarsell, myself reviewing, Michael McCarsell sponsoring on my YouTube right now. I'm about to do a candy review for AJ Lancaster. That'll be up probably Friday or Saturday. But tomorrow, Coy-Lection, Friday, Saturday, candy. Next week, Death Note, as well as Koi Cubed, as well as another special thing on Thursday, and lots of stuff coming at you, plus all the podcasts, plus all the Schmodown stuff, and the singles tournament starts next week. So lots and lots of stuff for the Koi Pond. Basically something every day. So much appreciated. Oh, and next week, I think Tuesday, we're going to be doing a watch-along of Mallrats in honor of Kevin Smith. So that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for the watch-along. So strap in. That is from Michael McCarsell and myself. We're going to be doing a Mallrats watch-along. I'll let you guys know what time as we get closer. So strap in for lots of crazy stuff. Thank you for being here. Thank you as ever for being a member of the Koi Pond. And thank you as ever to Comic Books for existing. I'll see you guys next week.